Welcome to Deep Dive. Today we're digging into something loads of English learners grapple with. This feeling that, well, you just can't really improve your speaking without a practice partner.
Yeah, it's almost like this unwritten rule, isn't it? But our mission today is to explore some really effective ways, maybe even some surprising ones, you can boost your spoken English skills. All by yourself.
Exactly. We've been looking at a great discussion from EP Learning English with Jason and Julia. They're experienced teachers, and they offer some seriously practical tips.
And they really challenge some of those, long-held beliefs about practicing solo.
So get ready, because we're going to unpack some advice you can use straight away. Stuff to help you build confidence and hopefully sound a bit more natural.
That's right. It's interesting why that belief that you need a partner is so well ingrained. Our sources, these educators, argue that's not quite the full story.
Right, so this isn't just about techniques, it's about shifting how you think about solo practice.
Precisely. Understanding its actual power.
Okay, let's get straight into it then. Jason and Julia, they tackle some common myths. The first one that really jumped out is this idea that talking to yourself in English, it's just, well, pointless, a waste of time.
And their counter-argument is actually really fundamental to skill learning. Speaking out loud, even to an empty room, it trains your brain.
Trains it how?
Well, it helps build automaticity, making it more natural, less effortful to actually form English sentences. You're verbalizing, you're rehearsing.
Ah, so your brain gets used to the patterns without constantly translating back and forth.
Exactly. Less mental translation needed.
They used an analogy I like: professional athletes.
Yeah, that was a good one.
They don't just compete, right? They spend ages practicing alone, refining skills. So how does that translate to language? What are the actual benefits of talking English to yourself?
Well, thinking about skill acquisition generally, the benefits are pretty clear. First, confidence, big one. Practicing with zero pressure, it lets you experiment.
Makes sense. Less anxiety when you talk to someone for real.
Definitely. Second, you hear yourself. You get immediate auditory feedback on your pronunciation. You can actively work on making the sounds right.
Self-correction.
Yep. And finally, fluency. You practice linking words, pulling vocabulary out without the pressure of a live conversation.
Okay. Another myth that crops up constantly. You must talk to native speakers regularly. It's like the holy grail.
Right, the gold standard idea. And look, talking to native speakers is valuable, no doubt, for, cultural bits and real-time skills.
But it's not the only way.
That's the point the source makes strongly. It's not the only route. Loads of people get really fluent using other resources without constant native speaker chat.
And the resources now are just immense, aren't they? The internet's changed everything.
It really has. You've got videos, podcasts, these AI chat tools now.
Right. AI tools offer practice, too.
Yeah, you can hear native-like pronunciation, even practice speaking with them, sort of. And interestingly, the source also points out, native speakers aren't always grammatically perfect anyway.
That's true. We all make mistakes.
So the focus should maybe be less on chasing some perfect ideal and more on just step-by-step improvement.
Makes sense. Okay, the last myth they challenge is one I think hits home for many. Talking to yourself is just weird, awkward.
Yeah, that feeling of self-consciousness is real, but the source reframes it. It's actually a fantastic practice tool.
So how do they normalize it?
Well, they mention that lots of language learners do it, and even professionals like actors or public speakers, they rehearse alone all the time. It's prep work.
It's like running lines, but for everyday conversation. Saying the words out loud makes it more concrete than just thinking them.
Exactly that. You're engaging the speech muscles, practicing the mechanics without any judgment. So the message is, embrace it. It's normal. It's helpful. Don't feel weird about it.
All right, myths busted. Let's move on to the practical stuff. These solo practice techniques Jason and Julia suggest. First up, thinking in English sounds simple, but how do you actually do that?
Well, the core idea is to cut out the middleman, that mental translation from your own language. Train your brain to just operate in English directly.
Okay, but where do you start?
They suggest really concrete things like just narrate what you're doing right now in English.
So if I'm making coffee, I'd think, or maybe even whisper, I am getting the mug, pouring water, adding coffee, that kind of thing.
Precisely. It seems basic, but it forces your brain to use English vocabulary and simple sentences in a real context. Or describing things when you're walking outside.
Like the sky is blue today, or that's a fast car.
Exactly. Making English the language of your internal observation. Another good one is planning your day in English.
Instead of thinking, okay, first I need to think, okay, first I will check emails, then prepare for the meeting.
Yep, it tunes your schedule into practice time.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like this ongoing low-pressure internal chat. But what if forming full sentences in your head feels hard at first, like a big jump?
That's a key point. They say start small, maybe just focus on keywords first.
Keywords?
Yeah. See an apple, just think apple. Not the whole sentence, just the word. See a dog, think dog. Your brain starts making connections.
So build up from words to phrases.
Right, and use pictures, real objects. See something, think the English word directly, don't translate. Just connect the image to the English word. The main thing is setting a small goal, maybe just 5 minutes a day of trying to think in English and build up.
Okay, very manageable. The next technique, shadowing. For anyone new to this, what exactly is shadowing?
Shadowing is quite active. You listen to a native speaker and you repeat what they say almost immediately, like right after them, as closely as you can.
Like an echo.
Kinda, yeah. But the key is mimicking everything, the pronunciation, the rhythm, the intonation, the flow. You're trying to sound just like them.
So understanding every single word isn't the main goal initially.
Not right at the start, no. It's more about catching the music of the language, the ups and downs, the speed, how words smoosh together naturally.
Okay, how do you actually start doing it, step by step?
First, pick some clear audio. Maybe a short bit from a podcast, a YouTube clip, a movie scene, something natural sounding. Start short, like 10-20 seconds.
Right, not a whole speech.
No, definitely not. Listen a couple of times first. Then play it again and try to speak along with it, mimicking the timing and sound.
I think they mentioned using subtitles. How does that fit in?
Yeah, that can help at the very beginning. See the words, hear the sounds, connect them. But the goal is to quickly move away from subtitles.
Why? To make your ears do the work.
Exactly. You train your ear to pick up the sounds without relying on the text. Shadowing really forces your mouth and brain to sync up in an English rhythm. You're not building sentences consciously, you're absorbing the flow.
And that helps with things like pronunciation.
Hugely.
Yeah.
Especially those natural things native speakers do, like linking words together or reducing sounds. You know how going to becomes gonna.
Ah, right. Shadowing helps you pick that up naturally.
Yes, it helps internalize those natural speech patterns, rhythm, and intonation.
Are there common mistakes people make when they first try shadowing? Things to watch out for?
Yeah, a few. Choosing audio that's way too fast or complex is a big one. Start slower, clearer.
Don't try to run before you can walk.
Pretty much. Also, getting hung up on perfection or understanding every word right away. It's about practice over perfection. Consistency matters more.
Okay. And one more.
Don't just mumble. You need to actually speak out loud. Use your voice, engage those muscles. Whispering doesn't quite cut it.
Got it. Good advice. So maybe find a short clip after this and give it a go.
Okay.
Okay, next technique. Simply speaking out loud. Seems obvious, but how can you structure that when you're alone?
Well, the core idea is just physically making the sounds. It's like exercise for your mouth, your speaking muscles, as the source called it.
Right, so what are the structured ways?
They suggest 3 simple ones: describing things, telling stories, and role-playing.
Okay, describing things, like what we discussed with thinking in English, but saying it.
Exactly. Look around the room, describe what you see. There's a wooden desk. On the desk, there's a laptop. It's silver. Simple stuff. You can do it anywhere.
Turning observation into spoken practice. And telling stories.
Yeah, this helps with longer sentences, connecting ideas. Talk about your day. A memory. Make something up.
Fiction writing out loud.
Kinda. The beauty is no pressure. You're alone. Go at your own pace. Practice sentence structure. Start simply, like, yesterday I went to the park, or one time I saw a funny cat. Build from there.
Okay. And the third one, role playing. Sounds potentially fun.
It can be. Pretend you're in a situation, ordering coffee, introducing yourself, asking for directions.
Practicing specific scenarios.
Yes, you practice different vocabulary, different grammar for different situations. The source even suggests, changing your voice, playing both parts of a conversation to make it less awkward, more playful.
I like that. Takes the seriousness out of it. Okay, moving on to something very current. Using AI and language apps, this area is exploding. What's the advantage here for solo practice?
Well, the big thing is accessibility now. Tools like ChatGPT, Elsa Speak, Speak English with AI, they were mentioned they can simulate conversations.
Like talking to a bot?
Sort of, yeah.
Wow.
But they can understand what you say and respond, often on lots of different topics. And crucially, many give you feedback,
Feedback on what? Pronunciation.
Pronunciation, yeah.
Yeah.
Sentence structure, fluency. Some apps are really specific, telling you which sounds you need to work on. It's like instant feedback.
So it's almost like having a patient virtual tutor available 24/7.
That's a good way to put it. The recommendation is maybe set a daily goal, say 10 minutes of actually speaking to the app.
Not just typing.
Right, gotta use your voice. And try different topics to stretch your vocabulary and express yourself in new ways.
Sounds really useful for targeted feedback. Okay, the final technique. Self-recording and feedback. Ooh, hearing your own voice. That can be cringy for some people.
It really can. That initial reaction is common, but the source stresses how valuable it is for self-awareness. It's the only way to really know how you sound.
How so? What do you listen for?
You listen back critically. Is my pronunciation clear? Am I hesitating a lot? Using too many ums and uhs? Are there grammar mistakes I keep making without realizing?
Things you just don't notice in the moment.
Exactly. So how to start? Pick a topic. Describe your day. Talk about a film. Maybe read a paragraph out loud.
Okay, then just record it on your phone.
Yep, phone recorder app is perfect. Speak naturally. Then the important bit, listen back carefully. Ask those questions. Clarity, hesitations, stumbled words.
And they had a pro tip, too.
Yeah, if possible, try to compare your recording to a native speaker saying something similar. It really highlights the specific sounds or intonation patterns you could work on.
That sounds like a fantastic way to track progress, too. Like, record the same thing every month and hear the improvement.
Absolutely. It gives you concrete evidence that you're getting better, which is a huge confidence booster.
Wow, okay. We've covered a lot of ground there. So many practical ways to practice speaking English alone. Let's just quickly recap the main ones.
Sure. So we started by knocking down those myths. You know, that solo practice is useless. You need native speakers. Talking to yourself is weird. All busted.
Right. Then the techniques.
Yeah. Thinking in English to get your brain working directly in the language. Shadowing for pronunciation and rhythm. Speaking out loud, describing, storytelling, role-playing to build muscle memory.
Using AI apps for interactive practice and feedback.
And finally, self-recording to really hear yourself and track progress.
Okay. Before we wrap up, if someone listening still feels a bit nervous about this whole practicing alone thing, what's the single most encouraging piece of advice you'd give?
Honestly, and this echoes the source material strongly. Don't be afraid. Mistakes.
Easier said than done sometimes.
I know, but mistakes are how we learn. They're not failures, they're feedback. And when you're alone, there's zero judgment. Nobody's listening.
True. It's a safe space to experiment.
Exactly. Embrace that freedom. Stumble. Correct yourself. Try again. It's all part of the process.
That's a really positive way to frame it. It's about the journey, isn't it? Every little bit helps.
Precisely. 5 minutes of shadowing, 10 minutes talking to an app, recording yourself once a week. Consistency is king. And try to enjoy it. Find the fun in it.
Make it less of a chore.
Yeah. Speak with confidence, even just to yourself. Believe you can improve, because you absolutely can.
That's a brilliant note to end on, really empowering. So for everyone listening, take that on board. Start today, speak out loud, try these techniques, stick with it, you've got this.
Definitely.
Now, as you go about your day, here's something to mull over. Which one technique we talked about today are you going to actually try? Just one, even for a few minutes. And maybe think ahead. How could making solo practice a regular habit really shift things for your overall English fluency goals? Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you on the next